All right, so if you watch this is the second part of Coding Conductor. Now, what I've done in the meantime, from the last video where I basically just got this up and running, right? I mentioned that I wanted to add in mastering Microsoft Power BI Second Edition. Right here, I've done that. And I've also installed the installer projects for Visual Studio 2022. I've also refilled my coffee. So yeah, we're going to pick up where we left off, and I'm going to show you what I did here to modify this. And then, we want to take away this contextual menus here and take away this add button. And then we're going to create an installer project for this. And hopefully by the end of this video, we'll have all that done, and we'll be rocking and rolling and have this up in GitHub for everybody to use. Okay, so I added in this mastering Microsoft Power BI. Pretty simple. Let me close this down. As you can see in my settings panel, what I did here was I just click on this. So here we go. So I downloaded the image of this book, and added it into my images folder here, mastering Power BI Second Edition .jpg, and then I just copied and pasted and modified this. So now this refers to mastering Power BI Second Edition .jpg. And it goes to the URL on Amazon where you can pre-order it. Hint, hint. That's a really good book. I really enjoyed writing this with Brett Powell. It's my second collaboration with him, along with Microsoft Power BI Cookbook, which seems to be selling really well, and people seem to like it. And then obviously my Learn Power BI Second Edition is here. That's been a great title over its lifespan. And then the one that nobody seems gets no love is Dak's Cookbook. But it was actually my favorite book to write. And when Pac first approached me about writing a book, this was the book I wanted to write. So I got to do it. I had to write Learn Power BI first, and then they gave me an opportunity to write this guy, which I really enjoy. But it just doesn't sell as well as the other ones. It's just disappointing because I think it has so many great tools and tips in it for writing DAX. All right. So enough about that. Shameless self-promotion complete. We need to get rid of this add button. Now, a couple different ways we could do this, right? We could just set the visibility to hidden or collapse basically, so it doesn't show up. However, if I do that, I know I have additional code all over the place that does stuff with that button in terms of changing it from visible to collapsed, etc., depending on its state. So instead, what we're going to do is we're just going to uncomment. And thanks for being helpful, Visual Studio. Not. Okay, so now the add button is gone. But I know I've probably broken some stuff. So let's just now the easiest way I could go through and do a edit, find in files, blah blah blah, and try to find this add tool button. But sometimes it's easier just to go and build it. And yes, it failed. Where's the failures? And name add tool button doesn't exist. Yeah, no doubt, because I just got rid of it. So we can just go through the errors, comment out the lines that are giving us problems. So you can see I'm switching the visibility state of that button at different points. And again, as I've stated it in previous videos, 80% of your code is going to be it's all this stupid UI code. Yeah. So here's another one. So yeah, so we just gone through and edited those out. But yeah, I mean, and I'm not, the actual code that deals with the Power BI data set is fairly straightforward. It's all this UI code that causes problems. And I spend like 80% of my time doing. And just as an example, I'll go through because I need to get rid of that context menu as well. So this public void display external tools, right? So I'm going through each of the groups, right? And I have to go and create these different controls around text blocks and things like that for each group. Then for each external tool in tools, I have to now create additional buttons. So this is a button I'm creating for the tool, give it a certain tool ID. And, then I have to, of course, the image for that tool is in base 64. So I got to convert that to binary data to a bitmap image, stamp that on the button kind of stuff. And then just go through and create all these different controls that you have. And so here is my context menu, where you right click and you have edit or remove. Edit or remove. Do I want to take away remove? I don't want to take away remove, but I do want to take away the edit, I think. Yeah, so let's see. So context menu, new context menu, menu item, and menu item 1. So really, so this is adding menu items. So really, if I just want to take away edit, I just have to uncomment that. That way you can still remove it. And that makes sense to me. You should be able to remove it, but I'm taking away like the ability to edit in the groups. It's just nerfing it a little bit. I actually show you, I will show you. I'm not taking away the functionality technically. I'm just making it less convenient. And I'll show you what I mean by that. But yeah, see all this code that exists for creating these different text boxes and stack panels and all this sort of stuff and registering and unregistering, and it's real hassle. The UI stuff, components of this stuff is where I spend the vast majority of my time in coding these external applications. So if advice, if you're coding a new external tool, keep the UI as simple as possible, because you'll spend tons of time dealing with your UI, even a very simple UI. And I wouldn't say that Conductor has like an elaborate UI or anything. So yeah, so let's go ahead and test this out and make sure that everything's being done that it's supposed to be done. So now if I right click, I can remove, but I can't edit. That's good. I don't have my add button anymore. And yeah, that all is working. So I think we're about ready to start with creating an installer. But first, let me show you what I meant by I'm not technically taking away functionality. Where am I at? All right, so the way Conductor works, first off, is, of course, you have your external tools directory for Power BI. Right here. So local disk, x86, program files, common files, Microsoft Shared, Power BI Desktop, external tools. So here's your JSON files that really define what your external tools are for your Power BI desktop. Now, the way Conductor works is that you define a backup directory for Conductor, and it copies those JSON files over here, and this is what actually gets displayed. So it's actually reading what's in the Conductor's backup folder for displaying what external tools there are. So this is nice because you can, if you remove a tool from the external toolbar, you still have its definition here, and it knows how to get to it and all of that sort of stuff and how to run it. That way you can keep your external toolbar clean for tools that you don't really use that often, but still have them available in Conductor. So that's kind of the whole purpose of Conductor, right? Is that you can have more tools in your external toolbar than you can have in the desktop. And so then you'll see it's the same JSON files. So again, if you added additional external tools, when you run Conductor, it's going to go out there and look. It's going to copy those files over here, display them, and all that stuff. But you'll notice there's this extra JSON file called external tool groups .json. And if you remember from the last video, I kind of went through this a little bit. This is the external tool groups. This is the class that defines that. And you'll see it's got file path, file name, group name, description, and all that. So really, what's going on when you're editing stuff in Conductor, it's actually writing that information to this external tool groups, which only Conductor changes and edits, so that it knows that it has your custom descriptions or your custom names, or what group it's in. So if we open this up in Notepad. So here's the definitions, right? It's keeping track of, the JSON file name, the original, and it does that. Well, anyway, it does that in terms of, so it knows, it keeps track of the actual file name and that sort of stuff. And this is how it actually tracks it. It's by the original file name. Has your name, but you could go in here, you could add a comma, group, colon, and give it a custom group name, and it would show up in that custom group. So it's not taking away the functionality, it's making it less convenient for you to use. So yeah, so these all have no group, so they just appear in the default no group section. Okay, so enough about that. Let's get on to creating an installer for this. These are always fun. Now, the first thing you need to know about this is you need to go out and find, so Visual Studio, for whatever reason, a couple things are a little bit infuriating. One, it doesn't come with this out of the box. You have to go out and download this from the marketplace. So you can see marketplace.visualstudio.com. You would go out there and you can search for this, and you can download it. Downloads a VSIX file, which you can double click on to run it. Got to shut down all your Visual Studio version instances. It'll install this, and then you'll have these projects, this installer project available to you within Visual Studio, which I've done that because you guys don't want to sit here and watch a paint dry on a wall while this thing installs. So I did that already. The other thing that's really infuriating a lot of times is none of the, they're never compatible between Visual Studio instances or versions. I don't know why this is the case, but yeah, I had to do this for 2019. And then if you open up a 2019 project with an installer project in 2022, it's not going to be compatible. It'll tell you that when you run it or when you open it. So yeah, fun. So now, in theory, I have installed that, and I relaunched my instances of Visual Studio. I've got this all going on. So now I'm going to right-click on the solution, and I'm going to go to Add New Project. And here we have a setup project, which is what we want. I believe this is what we want. Create a Windows installer project to which files can be added. We have a setup wizard. Create a Windows installer project with the aid of a wizard. Yeah. I forget which one of these I want, but I'm probably just going to use this one. Conductor installer. Oh yeah, this is, I don't want it there. I want it here. I did this wrong with metadata mechanic, the Mushka conversion, and I put my installer in a different directory, and I don't like it, but apparently I missed a step when I was doing this, or didn't do this correctly, so oh well. Okay, there we have our Conductor installer project right here. And it should have, yep. Okay, so this is always fun. Let me go through, let's find my power sort, and we'll compare its installer versus this one. Of course, I can't do that because it's incompatible, so I can't see anything about it within Visual Studio 2022. That's okay. I have my other system that has 2019 installed, which I can run here. I know you guys can't see this. This is off screen. Sorry about that. But I really need to have this up so I can compare and make sure that I get everything correct. Give me a moment while I launch Visual Studio 2019. My other system is super underpowered, which is why I bought this new system. Let's see, power sort solution. Do I have enough? Really bring this over here? Yeah, I can disconnect this. Oh, I didn't want to disconnect that. Never mind. Give me a second here, guys. This system is not the most powerful. See if I can pull this up on my main screen here. Okay. Wow. This system is just working with this system after working with my new system. Forgot how bad this system is. Okay. So let's see. Add, remove program icon. Probably. Why doesn't it? Shouldn't it recognize? Apparently not. Probably current icon. Browse. Application folder. Okay, I'm gonna have to do something here. Well, first of all, let's get rid of this. Greg Deckler, before we worry about anything else. Backwards compatibility, description, detect newer installed version, true, install all users, true. Manufacturer. Manufacturer URI, where is my GitHub directory? Nope, sorry. Microsoft Hearts Greg's Quick Measure. My bad. I renamed it, so I didn't upset Microsoft. I'll paste that in there. Post build events. Product name. Coding Conductor. Move previous versions. True. All this that only works. Well, it doesn't work as well as I'd like it to. I need a support URL, which is my YouTube channel. That's awful. I should turn that off so it doesn't autoplay. Note to self. All right, x86 title. I think I changed the title. Yeah. Product name. Go upgrade code version. Yeah, it's version 1.0. Fine. That's just fine for right now. Okay, so that's set now. I always have fun working with these installers. But I think what I need to do is I need to add project output to this. I want the primary output, localized resources. I don't want the debug symbols, content. I don't want source files. I don't have any documentation files. That's fine. Fine. Yeah. That's fine. Okay. So now, yep, I've added it. So it's found all my references, right? The dependencies on the NewSoft JSON, basically all the references, custom references that I put in there. So it's going to include those DLLs in the installation, in the project output. And then it's got all my resources and stuff that I've got. So now what I think I can do is I think now I can go here can browse. I can go to the application folder. No, maybe not. Hang on. Cancel. Conductor IO. So I think I need to change this to copy it. Let me check my other code in terms of it. So that's a resource. Do not copy on my other programs. Huh? Is that really the case? Yeah, that is the right one. I mean, it's not the end of the world if we don't have an icon here, folks, but I always forget how this works. User desktop time. No. Let me check my other one. My other one, I have that icon is set. I'm just wondering how I got it in there. Current icon. It just shows up as current icon. Oh yeah, an application folder. Must have added it. Okay. Well, let's just do that. Repos conductor, conductor.io, open. Okay, yep, shows up. Okay. All right, so now it should use that icon. I think that appears when I'm doing the installation. So yeah, so this is our installer, and I know there's a few other things that I need to do here. So let me look. Sorry guys, my I got a whole L-shaped desktop with one setup on one desktop, one desk, and my entire other setup on another desk. So just looking over here at my, do I add in? Did I had to add in a? So that was that. View custom actions. Did I add custom actions here? Hard to remember all this stuff. You don't do it enough. Yeah. Yep, I gotta do that. So view custom actions. So the reason why we need custom actions is so that we can copy that JSON file from our application folder to primary output from conductor. Okay. So we can copy that JSON file, because remember, we need a JSON file to show up in the external tools directory for Power BI Desktop in order for the external tool to be available in Power BI Desktop. So what we have to do is once we do the installation, and we'll get to this in a second, we're going to have to create a JSON file for our application. And then as a custom action, once we install it, it needs to move that JSON file from the application folder over to the external tools directory. And similarly, when we uninstall, then we're going to need to do the reverse, right? We need to get rid of that file. Yep, primary output from conductor. And I'm not the best person to be showing you how to do all this install stuff. I have literally pieced this stuff together from umpteen different sources. But yeah, so this is how we do this. All right, so now, but now we need a custom action, right? We need to have the custom action created. And so we actually have to create it. And again, I haven't done one of these from scratch for a little while. I tend to copy and paste between my projects. But I need an installer, essentially. And question is, what is this? What type of thing do I want? Well, let's just figure it out. So we can say at the end of the day, we need to add a class in here for our installer class. Yeah, and I can't copy and paste this from my other system from here because I don't have 2019 installed, so that's great. I'll have to figure that out. First part is that's that. I gotta remember what class I need to add. Installer class. That's probably it. Installer1.cs. Sure. Let's add that guy. So this is what's going to create the custom actions that I just specified. So I said in here, I said, okay, give me the custom actions will come from the primary output from the conductor. This installer class that I just created here is where I'm going to implement the custom code that it's going to run when it does the install task as well as the uninstall task. So that's where I set my custom actions. Okay, so I believe where I want to be is down this level. Yes, yeah. So down at this level, I need to get some code from my one system over to this system. Or can I get it in another way? I really don't feel like typing all that code in, to be honest. In theory, though, I can go to my source code repository. And let's see. I've been using PowerSort Pro, which is fine. I could actually read. Installer1.cs. What happens if we open this bad boy? Yeah, this looks like what I want. It's got my uninstall code. It's got my install code. Great. I bet I'm missing a reference somewhere. Maybe I should close this. Oh yeah, system.io. Yeah, I'm gonna need that. Oh yeah, there they all went away. Boom. Okay, so that's just great, except that we don't have the actual JSON file. So that I can get from somewhere else. So let's see. Need to add a JSON file. Add new item. Search for JSON. JSON file. Sure. And let's see, what are we going to call this guy? We're going to call this one conductor mushgookum. That way we make sure, well, let's actually call it mushgookum conductor. Yeah, let's call it that. That way, I don't think anyone else is prefixing their JSON files with mushgookum. But yeah, think about this when you're creating external tools, that you're gonna, you want yours to be unique from anybody else's, right? You'd hate to have a situation where you install a JSON file and you overwrite, so don't call your JSON file dacstudio.json, right? Marco might get mad. All right. So where did that end up? Coding Conductor.json. There it is. And let me just this in here. All right. So obviously I copied this from PowerSource. So we're just going to call this conductor. Description is conductor because we're unimaginative. And this is going to be path. So here we're feeding in the server and the database as arguments. Now we're going to have to update this icon data. Now I've already got this base 64 icon data because we're using like my, the crossed out profile picture of myself that you can see in the background here. I think you can see in the background, right? Oh yeah, there it is. Boop. Okay. So, but I'm going to show you how I actually do these, just because maybe you'll learn something from it. Which could come conductor, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So what I usually do is I go out to, and it's easy just to, I think it's convert.io that I use, convert PNG to ICO. Yep, convert.io, there we go. And I've got my icon file that I used. I think well, we'll find it. Two users, self, source, repos, conductor, and where's our icon? Here is our icon that we're using. All right, so it's up there, and I hit convert. An unknown error occurred. That's new. ICO to ping convert. Okay, I chose the wrong one. Duh, Greg. You guys probably all saw that. You're like, Greg, you're an idiot. Because it's not a ping to ICO. What I want is a got this completely wrong. Icon to base 64. Can you imagine that? It couldn't convert an icon. Anyway, icon to base 64. Did I use base 64 guru? Well, let's give it a try. Base 64 guru. Maybe that's the one I use. Oh yeah, this does look familiar. Yeah, that's right. I use convert.io when I'm converting. Okay, files. I know that's not the right file. Man, come on. I know that's not correct. Plain text, just the bait. Yep, code. Yeah, this is the one I use. Okay, so we're going to copy this, right? So that's copied our icon file to base 64, and then I got to go back here. And so this actually replaces all of this right here. All right, so now we'll have the correct icon that'll show up in Power BI Desktop. And I got to remember, okay, so I called this conductor underscore path. That guy. Because now I got to modify my installer code. Okay, so this stuff is all the same. I'm just setting my Power BI external tools directory. PBI tools JSON template. I think I actually replaced that, so I don't need to worry about that at the moment. I'm replacing the path with my escapes. stop. MSHGQM conductor.pbitool.json. Okay, so basically what I'm doing here is if the so if this is the very first time you've installed an external tool, right, I'm checking to see if the directory exists. If it doesn't exist, I create it. And then I check to see if that this file exists, MSHGQM conductor.pbi.tool. And that's in the app directory. So I'm checking so that this little guy and look at that. I got to change that real quick. Yeah. So I need to set this to content. Otherwise, it's not going to show up in my application directory. I'll set it to copy always. Okay, so got to make sure that this thing ends up in the application directory when it gets installed. And then this code will go find it. Yeah, this code will go find it. If it exists in there, I'm going to replace that conductor path. I gotta do some escaping essentially with the, because it's JSON and yeah, anyway. Again, it's just something you got to do. And then I'm going to write it all to that MSHGQM conductor.pbi2.json file. Then obviously when I uninstall, then I need to do the opposite, right? I got to get rid of that file. So if I find it, then I'm going to delete it. Okay, so that, and I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but in theory, we should be able to compile this, end up with an MSI file, be able to run the MSI file, install the program, and have it show up in Power BI desktop the next time we launch it. Well, here we go. All it can do is go wrong, and we can fix it. So what I'm going to do, so now what we need to do is I need to do a batch build. And we're going to batch build a release version. So we have to batch build our conductor as well as our conductor installer. And let's see how much this fails. Grab some coffee here. Okay, succeeded, but we're not out of the woods yet. We actually have to be able to run the installer and have it work, which sometimes is problematic. I will tell you that right now. And if that happens, if we run into problems, I may have to go do some research, kind of shut this down to a part 3 and do some research and then figure out what the heck went wrong. Sometimes those are really nasty problems to solve. But in theory now, if we go to our source repository, we should have our conductor installer. Yep. And we have our release. And here's our MSI. Moment of truth, guys. Anyone want to bet whether this works or not? Welcome to MSHGQM Conductor Setup Wizard. That all looks good. Don't have our icon there, but that's just it's not the end of the world. All right, so we're going to install it to Greg Declan MSHGQM Conductor. It builds this from like, whatever, like basically the parameters that you put in, like the manufacturer and then the name of the product. So that's fine. Installer's ready. And we'll see if this works. What I've seen happen, yeah, that's good. Yep, we want that. Oh, boom. Ooh, look at that. All right. Sometimes I've seen it where it's so infuriating. It'll get through like half the install process and then be like, oh, and then roll it back, and then those those are problematic to solve. All right, so but that looked really good. It doesn't always go that well, guys, folks. So let's go here. So then in theory, if this worked correctly, I should have a Greg Deckler folder, Coding Conductor. There is the code, all my DLLs and all that stuff. There's my JSON file. It made it into there. So now, if I go back to here, Common Files, Microsoft Shared, Power BI Desktop, External Tools, it didn't make it. Yeah, it should be here in this External Tools directory, and it is not there, unless I'm missing it. So something went haywire. Something went haywire in that install process where it didn't copy that file over. I'm assuming it's something I did wrong. Now I got to figure it out because everything else worked. Now, that means that if I go to add remove programs, what is this thing going to be called? Coding Conductor. There it is. There is the program. I can uninstall it there if I want. So why didn't that file come over? Because the file definitely made it. Coding Conductor. Maybe it's as simple as a misspelling somewhere. Oh, Doug Reg. Oh, so simple. Look at that. So yeah, it's not mushcookum.json, it's mushcookumconductor.pbitool.json. And that is what my custom installer is looking for. Yep, it's mushcookumconductor.pbitool.json. Okay, hopefully it's something as simple as that. So what we need to do is go to this guy. Yeah. Sure. Now we don't have to worry about that custom action since the file didn't make it there. We don't have to worry about removing it, obviously. So now, I really, oh yeah, I gotta recompile this and get a new version of that. Otherwise, it is not going to work. Batch build, deep. Go ahead and build it. And it worked the last time, so I don't know why it wouldn't work this time. And yes, if I go out to here, yep, Greg Deckler is gone as a manufacturer. So now, do I have, yeah, this. Oh, it's on a different screen. Conductor installer, release. Next. Yep. Boom, close. We now have Greg Deckler, Coding Conductor. We have Coding Conductor PBITool.json. And therefore, if I go into, I could just launch it, whatever, but Microsoft Shared, let's just check. Coding Conductor PBITool, there we go. All right, so now, so yeah, if I don't need to save this or anything. We got to so it's not in our external toolbar yet. We have to launch. Don't save. Got to relaunch Power BI. There's Conductor. Set our backup directory. Boom, look at that. All right, I think we're done. So there you go, parts 1 and 2, Conductor, in terms of coding it from stem to stern, right? We got a, an hour and a half, 2 hours or so. We were able to go from nothing to having a free version of Conductor. And what I will do now, just so you guys can completely see the end-to-end process. Right now I've got, here I am. So yeah, so I've called all of these MSHGQM metadata mechanic. Where's my installers? Power sort installer. Oh, yeah, so Conductor installer, fine. GitHub. Let's see. I'm not signed in. Yeah, update it. Whatever. Add file. Upload files. Choose my file. Conductor installer. Release. Conductor installer. Open. Commit. There we go. You guys can go out and download Conductor installer at MSI, install it on your own system. And you'll have the free version of Conductor, which gives you the expanded external toolbar. That's it. That's it. That's everything. That's the process I go through when I write these external tools, man. It's just, some of it's a little bit of trial and error sometimes. But yeah, I mean, hopefully this helps someone else get through some of these hurdles when they're writing their own external tools for Power BI. Let me know if you like this kind of content, because I can do more of this. I can record myself beating my head against the wall writing code all day long, because I do quite a bit of it on weekends and on my free time and time off. If I'm not writing books, I'm probably doing something around coding external tools or something like that. So if you like this content, if you find it helpful, I can do more of it. It's kind of some of the unique content that I can provide, because I am writing these external tools. And if you guys want to see my frustrations and what I go through to do this, maybe you guys enjoy watching me be tortured by this stuff. But, happy to do it, especially if it helps people. So I will see you guys next time, where I think, maybe I'll code a tool entirely from scratch, around annotations and stuff like that. So just so you can see just the overall process that goes through. And it's not just copying and pasting files over and then, getting it to work, but we'll actually go through one together. It'll probably be a multi-part series, because these things do not come together in an hour and a half, 2 hours typically, right? I'm usually spending several days on a tool, and probably anywhere between 16, 24 hours or more, getting it coded. And some of these more complex ones, I probably have 40, 60 hours in. I mean, I guarantee you, Quick Measure or MSHGQM, I have a ton of hours in, probably 100+ hours in that tool. So yeah, let me know if you guys like this kind of content. Leave a comment. And yeah, see you guys. Have a good Memorial Day weekend.